Welcome back. The context and the goals for this annual convention and for ISQ members and the quality professionals has been very well set in the opening session by the seniors. And therefore, this session which follows will take us through some interesting learning, some interesting pointers about the new restructuring of TQM and so on. We've got two interesting speakers in this session, and therefore to chair this session, we need an equally interesting person, and that will be none other than Mahesh Hegde. Mahesh Hegde is a very well-known person to the professional, to the entire ISQ community, and an interesting personality. Therefore, I request Mahesh now to come over and chair this session, please. Thank you. Mahesh, please give him a big hand.
Thank you, Sundarajan. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Ajnana timirandasya jnananjana shalakaya chakshurunmilitam yena tasmai shri gurave namaha. I salute all my gurus, teachers who are here, who have shown us path of knowledge and working relentlessly to remove ignorance that we have. Anyone who stops learning at the age of 20 or 80 is old, and anyone keeps learning stays young. This is said by Henry Ford. So it's a time for all young minds sitting here to have great amount of learning. And it's my honor and privilege to introduce our speaker, sensei from Japan, TQM guru, Mr. Yukihiro Ando, President and CEO, Ando Engineering Office Limited Partnership. He is a trustee and academician for the International Academy for Quality, which is very, very high level of people in the quality field only can get into this. And we are fortunate to have some of the great such people are there in this conference. And he's QC instructor for JUSE, a lead examiner for Deming Prize Committee and honorary advisor of QC Circle Saitama section. His major field as a TQM consultant includes application of TQM, various methods like policy management, daily management, QC circles, statistical techniques for solving various quality problems. And his career, over 40 years of experience, includes consultation and lectures in broad range of industries in Japan, in US, Thailand, India, Singapore, etc. And 29 of them were received Deming Application Prize under his consultancy. He's been consulting for corporations and independently and as a member of consulting team led by eminent Japanese quality guru such as Professor Noriki Kano, Professor Ishikawa, Professor Hitoshi Kume, and many more. And his consulting style is succeeded from those gurus. And apart from that, I have witnessed he has got very unique style of explaining. They say, mediocre teacher tells, good teacher explains, and great teacher inspires. And we have inspiring teacher, Professor Ando-san. He's been a visiting professor of Waseda University, a senior consultant in Joyner Associates Inc. in USA, a lecturer in Tokyo University of Science, Housei University, a board member of Japanese Society of Quality Control, JSQC. We'll be hearing a lot about it today during his lecture, and chairman of International Committee of JSQC, an executive director of QC Circle headquarters, a deputy advisor of QC Circle Kanto region, a deputy task group leader of ISO 176. It's in charge of developing ISO 9004 2009. So such an incredible, knowledgeable person we have today. to address the next lecture, and will be gaining lot of knowledge. So I request all the people to pay full attention, make a note of all the key learnings that we are going to get. And he received many awards and recognitions. And to name few, in 2020 ANQ ISQ, ANQ Ishikawa Kano Silver Medal, 2009 JSQC Fellow, 2018 AOTS, and many more. List can go on, so many awards, and he's going to get many more awards even in future. So recently he's been contributed to develop many JSQC standards for quality management, and to translate them into English, many of them are upgraded as JIS standards. I feel this can become immense help for the companies which are looking for implementation of total quality management. And he has done many activities, especially for India. He made 3 invited speeches for ISQ conferences. He contributed Indian clients. Already you have heard some of the names, the companies like Rane Holdings or Tata Steel or Sona. Various companies won the Deming Prize in India, and facility helped to achieve Deming Grand Prize. And he published a book on daily management, the TQM way, which is co-authored by Dr. Pankaj Kumar. So with all this, I think if I read out the entire introduction, it will be so big. It's better to hear from Professor Ando. Dr. Ando, Professor Ando-san, please come and let us welcome him with a round of applause.
My title of this speech is Restructuring of the TQM. Subtitle is the JSQC Standard. Because in these days, now the JSQC, Japanese Society for Quality Control, started to restructure TQM. And its elements, such as policy management, daily management, and etc., as a JSQC standard. So in this opportunity, I'd like to introduce their overviews. Okay. Then I plan to introduce by myself as this, but it's over already. Thank you. But you missed one of the very important information regarding myself, which is my English. My English is the typical broken Japan English. What does it mean? I cannot distinguish R and L, and B and V, and TH and S and Z, and etc. So actually, there used to be, when I was working in the American consulting company, there was one guy named Robert. Okay. American people don't call themselves as Robert. Some of the Robert are called as Bob. Okay. But in this particular guy was called as Rob. Okay. So because of this reason, actually, he was a very nice guy. However, because of this reason, I could never love him. Because if I like to say, I love, it includes L and R and V and B in such a short sentence. Then it becomes like this. Okay. So time to time, you may confuse from my pronunciations and also my grammar, because our grammar don't distinguish singular or plural, or tense also, past tense and the future tense and present tense. We don't differentiate. So in my English also, it can confuse sometimes. But in this case, please feel easy. Today, fortunately, I have my co-author, Dr. Pankaj Kumar. So he understood everything, maybe. So if you have any questions, then you can ask him, okay? Thank you. Then, my contents include those kind of things. I'd like to start from the history of the TQM in Japan, briefly. And the new framework of TQM by JSQC. In other words, it's a background why we need to develop the new framework. And based on this, I'd like to explain the total structure of the JSQC standard. And one of the very important standards is policy management and the daily management. However, we are facing very confusion and the difficulties. So now we try to restructure the policy management and daily management. Okay. So it's very undergoing this discussion. So today I'd like to share our confusion. Then if possible, I'd like to get some feedback from you. Okay. So this is a slide from my teacher, one of my teachers, the Professor Ikezawa. He explained the history of history of TQM in Japan in this way. From USA, 1931, Bell Laboratory in ATT, American anyhow ATT. Dr. Schuhart started this kind of activity, statistical quality control. Then based on this kind of information, 1949, it means after World War II, Dr. Deming seminar had Dr. Deming come to present our seminar. Okay. So why Dr. Deming should come? Because at that time, the Japanese quality was terrible, okay. Especially in the telephone area. To occupy the Japan by the American military. They try to phone call to Japan, but it never connect. And they complain to the telephone companies. Then your quality must be improved. Then they send Dr. Deming to Japan, and they held this kind of seminar. Then from those kind of the period, the SQC, statistical quality control, had started and spread. But after this, 10 years later, or within these 10 years, Japanese people modified this American style quality control. It says that not only sophisticated statistical tools and theories, but also simple and practical tools, such as the Ishikawa diagram or the cause and effect diagram or Pareto diagram. They prepared a set of the very practical tools, which can be used not only for the manager and the engineers, but also the frontline workers. And also, so that in these days, not only the expert activities, to total involvement had started. Okay. So these kind of activity had started from the 1949. Then next, again, at that time, Dr. Feigenbaum they made this kind of very thick book titled as a Total Quality Control. Okay. Some of you may study about this. Then he said, quality cannot be achieved not only by inspection, but by the production and so on, so on, so on. So it's very nice. Then, at that time, some of the Japanese experts, like Dr. Ishikawa and so on, visited the US and get this kind of book. And they understood, it's our activity, like this. Then they come back to Japan, and they say, they named our activity can be TQC. However, actual activity was a little bit different, because at that time in Japan, the so-called quality activity was the strong leadership by top management, and the spread to total companies, and the total functions, and the total members. So the meaning of the total was a little bit different. So at that time, some of the academic persons in Japan say, it is different from TQC. Maybe we should call this as the company-wide activity, so that the company-wide quality control, CWQC. But at that time, and still now on, the Japanese people are not so good at English. Okay? So if you try to pronounce CWQC, then it's very difficult. Then some people make mistake that the WCQC, okay? Washroom QC, then it sounds not so good, okay? But the TQC is very easy to say. Then still the situation was this, but the username as TQC. But actually this TQC and this TQC, the name is the same, but the contents are slightly different. Then 1965, Dr. Juran come to Japan. And he says, Dr. Juran says, Japan will take the leadership of quality in the world. At that time, many of the Japanese ourselves had surprised, because at that time the quality in Japan was very, very poor. But Dr. Juran come and say this way, especially he pay attention to the QC circle activities. Then he says this way, and actually it's realized in 1980s. Okay. Then after this, yes, this morning Mr. Janak Mehta mentioned, in 1980s, if Japan can, then why cannot we? This kind of program had the spread in the US. Then in the US, Dr. Deming's lecture, they become very popular. And many people started these kind of activities. Then they established the Malcolm Baldrige the National Quality Award in 1989. Then, unfortunately, in this period, because the Japanese people become very arrogant, okay? Because the Japanese quality is best, or so on, so on. But actually, it's not the best in many of the area. Only some of the area that we become the best. But then TQC activity had declined. Then we renamed from TQC to TQM in 1996. Okay. Then watching this kind of the trend, actually inside Japan, there are many kind of the trend. TQM activity, TQC activity had started. Actually, the production in material industries, such as the steel, cement, or glass, and so on, so on, in 1950s. And at that time, the activity was only for the production area. But the people understand, in order to satisfy the quality, only by production is not enough. So this kind of activity spread to the R&D and the admin and the sales, like this. Okay. Then after this, this kind of activity spread to the production area, especially assembly industry. So the automobile industries and so on, so on. Then next constructions, and the next services, and the next medical area, and some public area. And in the meantime, it's spread to the US, and also Europe and Asia. Maybe it's my understanding. Then why TQM spread? I would say the basics of the TQM can be useful for all the business processes. However, in reality, there have been many difficulties or excuses or obstacles or resistance to introduce and promote TQM. Such as myself started my career from this period. At that time when I visited the construction industry, then many people say, TQM is good for assembly industry, but not so good for the construction industry. Because, construction industry, our products are building. Each building are different, okay? So how we can rotate PDCA? Okay, we can P, we can do, and we can check, but the next A will not come forever, okay? So PDC is possible, but the PDCA is not possible like this. Or when they spread to the service industry, then they say service industry, one of the very important element, quality element is smile. Okay? But how do you measure the smile? Okay. Smile is very much different. It depends on the person. Okay. But they tried so that the TQM cannot be introduced in the smile, in the service industry. But after many kind of the trial and error and the effort, such as smile level can be measurable actually. And also to improve your smile, there are many kind of exercise introduced. Then they can overcome those kind of difficulties also. So after overcoming those kind of difficulties, each company has developed their own TQM. It's a history of the TQM in my sense. So that from those kind of viewpoints, if you define this is the TQM, then the next for another company, it's not suitable for you. And the next period, next year or next day, it is already the old fashioned. Okay. So from those kind of viewpoints, we should have some kind of difficulties to standardize the TQM. But in some sense, because it's the TQM are the spread, and the many styles of the TQM become the spread, then it creates the pros and the cons. Pros is, of course, each company can adapt your suitable TQM. Cons is, because there are so many varieties of the TQM. So for the beginners, they confuse so much. Okay. So from those kind of viewpoints, we needed to restructure and standardize the TQM. And actually, another kind of viewpoint is from Mr. Janak Mehta's presentation. He explained the GDP per capita. Then he emphasized the low level of India. But from my viewpoint, still India's GDP per capita are increasing. But the Japanese graph, it's stagnant or going down. So it becomes a much more serious situation in my sense. So based on this kind of feeling, we needed to restructure. Then this is the guideline for the TQM. Okay. Now it was developed this year, okay, just this year. Now the English version is under translation. It's now translated by Professor Motoani. Okay. So we should wait for him. So this is just the tentative English. Okay. Then background of this standard, standardized guideline for TQM is, as I mentioned before, now the TQM are based on the effort of the many organizations or companies. So new way have been continuously presented. So there is no one size type. Okay. This is the TQM, but it doesn't fit for you always. Okay. So you should modify like this. And the TQM should be customized flexibly. From those kind of viewpoints, actually many people criticize when we start to standardize. TQM shouldn't be standardized like this. Okay. But anyhow, because of this kind of conflict, we started to develop the standard. Yeah. Then, okay. Then this standard, so that we develop this standard for just organization for introduced TQM. So for the company, who got the Deming prize or Deming Grand prize and so on, should be much, much higher level, I would say. So it's just the basics. And the introduction or introduced TQM or just started company. Or sometimes the company, they try to restructure the TQM. Such as you implemented the TQM more than 15 years or 20 years already. However, some of the company are declining or losing or so on. then you can use this kind of the standard. Okay. Then also, there are many styles of the TQM, of course. American style of the TQM and the European style of TQM, majority of them, I would say 70 or 80% are similar, but a slightly different part. Okay. So this TQM are based on the Deming Prize winners' experience. I think that many of you are familiar with this criteria. In Deming Prize, we say these the 3 points are most important criteria. These 3 points are most important criteria. So in case of the Malcolm Baldrige, year by year they are changing, but they have these kind of criteria and these kind of the levels. And if you achieve this, then you can get the 5, this one 3, and so on, so on, so on. So there are many very clear criteria. On the other hand, the Deming, in some sense, it's very unclear criteria. I think that you can read faster than me. Okay? But the point is, A is you should establish, the company should establish business objective and strategies. And the TQM is the being suitably utilized for realization of the business objective and strategies. And C is the company should achieving business objective and strategies. So, it's very redundant English. Redundant, in other words, we emphasize the keyword, business objective and strategies. So TQM is the tools to realize your business objective and strategies. So some of the companies try to implement TQM for the sake of TQM, then losing the directions. But we clearly said, no, TQM should realize the business objective strategies. And these business objective strategies must be under the clear management policies and so on, so on. Okay. Those kind of things. So if the business objective and strategy itself was not so clear, such as we want to be the number one, only this, okay? Or we want to be a safety company, or we want to be just a sustained company, or so on, so on. How do you measure? If you cannot set up your clear measurement, then it's very difficult to show you are achieving. So this the simple sentences, but it's very important sentence. So the most important criteria or evaluation criteria in Deming Prize is this one. Okay. So based on this idea, this is standard we had developed. This is these are the chapters, scope and the normative references and the terms and the definitions. They are the sort of the format of the standards. And the basics of the TQM. Here we describe what are the basics, basic principle, basic structure, and so on. And also the number 5, the chapter 5 is the most important chapter, how to say, unique chapter in this standard. It says, in order to develop the business objective and strategies, what are the requirements? Then, based on this, how do you develop the TQM? Those kind of chapter. Okay. Then today, I'd like to emphasize the basics of the TQM. Okay. Then here, this is the total structure of that standard. Okay. So first of all, we should emphasize the importance of the mission, vision, principle of the organization. In other words, we consider that the company should clarify your long-term objective. Typically speaking, it should be such as the 20 or 30 years perspective. Based on this kind of perspective, you have to realize the mission, vision, and so on. the company or the organization should set up business objective and strategies. This business objective and strategies, maybe 3 to 5 years perspective. Then it must be very clear and measurable and achievable. Those kind of the business objective and strategies. And in order to realize this kind of the business objective and strategies, TQM implementation should be done. Okay. So there are no such kind of the regulations. If you achieve this business objective and strategies, then you can do everything. Okay. Of course, you can do another kind of the so-called another kind of the initiatives under the name of TQM or so on, so on, such as TOC or TPM or ABC, EFG, HIJ, KLM, okay. So on, so on. Some people say in India you have the 40-some font so that you can make much more the combination. So this is the most important structure. And here, in order to realize your business objective strategies, we should clear the desirable state of the TQM elements. Later I explain a little bit about the TQM elements. But simply speaking, such as policy management, daily management, or the new product development, or quality assurance, or those kind of things. Okay. Then what should be the desirable state? In order to realize your business objective and strategies, they should be described here. Then, based on this kind of the business of the desirable state of TQM elements, then business objective and strategies should be hit. Okay. And finally, you should realize your mission, vision, principle. Okay. Okay. So in some sense, very simple. Okay. In some sense, if you don't pay attention to TQM, then you can change the word of the TQM to another kind of language. But in every organization, I think how to realize the vision, mission, and so on is very important, most important. And in order to realize the mission, vision, the business objective must be set. So even the non-TQM believers can use this kind of the structure. Okay. Then one of the very important discussion from this time is this point, organizational capabilities. Okay. It used to be we discuss only this level and this level. The TQM and the business objective must be linked directly. However, in these days we discuss, yes, the organizational ability should be in the center. Because the business objective and strategy itself can be changing. And also people are changing. So based on this kind of TQM, first we should aim to enhance the organizational abilities. If you can improve the organizational abilities, then even you change the business objectives, then you can achieve next objectives and so on, so on. So from those kind of viewpoints, this structure include these organizational capabilities in this way. Okay. And also, there should be the principle. Okay. As far as we say it's the TQM, we should have some kind of principle, not only the tools. Okay. Because of this kind of principle, we can say it's the TQM. And also because of this kind of principle, maybe we can say that we can success. Okay. One of the most important the principle or in this case, we differentiated we categorized our principle into this objective related to the principle and procedure related principle, and also the management of the organization principle. Then the objective oriented in this area. First, the customer focus and the society focus. In other words, quality. quality is the most important. Okay. And the procedures area, there are many kind of the keywords, but the most important is emphasize on the process, not only the result. Okay. Then the PDCA is one of the elements here. And from the viewpoint of the management, then total involvement or total participation, those kind of elements should be very important, like this. So based on this kind of the principle, next element that can be done. Then we say the core activity in TQM consists of the two kind of points. One is the maintenance plus enhancement, plus the next one is improvement and the innovation of the processes. In some sense, it's a very abstract discussion. But in this picture, maybe you can understand, our improvement cannot be done so straight. Okay? It will never happen. This kind of go straight. Then keep maintenance and improve, and maintenance and some innovation, and improve and maintenance and improve. Those kind of discussion. Without the maintenance activities, of course, everything are going down. And even though you can success some kind of improvement and innovation, everything should be gone. Okay. So we consider that both activities are important. Typically speaking, or extremely speaking, a major function of the maintenance plus enhancement means daily management. And the improvement and the innovations are policy management, extremely speaking. Extremely speaking means there are another expression, such as if your company or if your department needs improvement, 3 improvement every year, then it's within the range of the daily management. Okay? But another company, such as some of my client companies so far consider that. So far, my company is very, daily management situation is very bad. Safety is very bad. Quality are so fluctuated. Then one time, the top management decided this year's policy is enhanced daily management. Okay? Can you confuse? Okay. If you confuse, then it's my pleasure. Okay. So, then what kind of elements do we have? So far, we prepared these kind of elements as a JSQC standard. Then some of them are translated in English, and some of them are upgraded to JIS, the Japanese Industrial Standard already. Then just for your information, okay, such as the policy management, if you contact here, then you can purchase by yourself. Look at this. If you purchase the 10,000 copies, then it's applied 90% discount. Attractive for you? Okay. So please purchase the 10,000. Okay. Okay. Then also there are many kinds of the tools for TQM, and the typical tools in TQM also. Okay. Oh. Well, time has come already. Okay. Then once again, in this way we restructure the TQM, and this translation will come very soon. So please purchase and study, and also the feedback to us. There is no time for the policy management, but the policy management, then so far we have these kind of two standards for policy management and daily management. But in these days, there are many kind of confusion. Just I like to confuse you. One of the very big confusion is this. Policy in English and the policy in policy management are not equal. Okay. For this point, always Mr. Namana-san complained to us, don't use a policy management. It creates some kind of confusion like this. But it's not my decision, but the other person's decision, like the Dr. Kano. So I cannot obstacle. Then also the management in English and the management in TQM are also slightly different. Management in English, there is some sort of the more sophisticated English, and it depends on the person, definition are a little bit different. But management in TQM, we say all the activity to achieve the certain objectives. So very objective-oriented activities. And it's a job of not only for the managers, but also all the persons. And one of the key words is PDCA. And this basic idea is not so new, actually. But this is the typical misunderstanding. Such as the 1 year, you said that these kind of policies, such as increase sales to 15%, enhance new product to 20%, and such and such and such, and 39 items. And the next year, the same way, increase sales 10%, and enhance new product to 25%, and so on, so on, so on. Look at this. Oh, many of them are similar. Then people feel, the policies are almost all the same. The policies are almost the same every year. Nothing changed, except for the adjectives and the numerical values. And there are too many items to memorize. But actually, it's very simple. In reality, the top management say just improve QCD, that's it. Then it created the rank and fires reactions. People feel, well, let's do it piecemeal this year too. Nothing different from last year. So just we should continue from last year. And it's easy and pleasant to memorize because nobody remember actually. But actually in this year, at this point, by the way, what we should do? What do we need to change? Nothing so clear. Which way our company are going? Nothing clear. Then based on this kind of review, we try to change this kind of system. And also the very important part of the management is, I would say, daily management. Many of the top management attract to the policy management, and they don't pay attention to daily management. But we say daily management is a fundamental. And some of the changing part only should be highlighted to the policy management, like this. Then, skipping those kind of things. Sorry, there are many stupid examples. Then, sorry, I prepared too much. Then the point is, yep. So we should make some kind of business plan in every layer, such as top management, division, department, and so. And basically, all the business plan should deploy down to daily management first. However, within this kind of activities, within this kind of target and the items to do, some of the items cannot be achievable by current activities or current systems. Only those kind of things should be put to the policy. Then policy items should be very straight and very clear, and try to overcome the policy, try to overcome the business change. So this is just under the discussion. So, sorry to over the time, that I'd like to conclude my session. Thank you.
Thank you, Ando-san. It was wonderful, and he made it so interesting that we all were involved in thought-provoking questions and common mistakes that we do. And I'm sure by referring to this JSQC standards, we will have a lot of knowledge and we'll be able to implement TQM in a better way. Thank you, Ando-san, for that. Now I request Mr. N. Ramanathan to come to present our token of gratitude to Ando-san.
Actually, I want to present only half this plaque to him because he didn't change the word policy management.